We are going to do things just a little bit differently today because today isn't about a four-step process to getting your best results. Today isn't about me giving you the three biggest tips and how they worked for each one of my clients. Today is about a cold splash of water hitting you in the face because I'm getting a little bit sick of scrolling through Instagram and just seeing post after reel after carousel of encouraging, supportive words. Now, I get it. It feels good to be supported. It feels good to have someone say, "You got this. Hang in there, kitty." But the thing is, that isn't where you see the growth. That isn't where you see the gain. Isn't by getting all of this encouragement and warm, fuzzy words thrown at you. Where you get the growth and the gain is by having equal airtime with that painful, frustrating, those issues, those situations where it hurts and you have to persevere through it. That is where you grow. So, I'm not going to tell you all of the ways that you can get your best results as a leader. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear about actually sitting in that pain a little bit, long enough to get what my old boss used to call lumpy. You can have all of these great ideas. You can have all of these great plans and know how things are supposed to work in theory. In theory, we are supposed to be able to motivate our teams toward hitting big goals. In theory, we are supposed to be able to have our boss understand our perspective through the way we communicate with them. But it doesn't always work. And it's those situations where it didn't work that you actually grow the most, that you actually learn the most. And so, what I want you to do today, what I want to encourage you towards today, is actually taking those risks, knowing that you are going to get knocked down and actually looking forward to that fall. Because that is the only way you can get back up. That's the only way you can dodge the next punch, is because you know what's coming. So you have to sit in it to know what's coming. And I know there are a lot of people who would have gotten to prior to this point in the video and completely turned it off, left some sort of comment or, DM or something to tell me how I am pushing hustle culture, to tell me that I am pushing negativity. And what people need now more than ever is positivity. I would disagree. You don't need positivity. I don't think you need negativity either. What you need is hope. But you build hope through that perseverance. You build hope by persevering through the struggles that are given to you. That is how you see that there's this vision off in the future that you can overcome all of these struggles because you've seen yourself do it at a smaller scale. Now, we know that when it comes to our kids, and we try to teach them, whether they're our own children that are part of our family or nieces and nephews, students, anyone. When we see kids, we know that they need to go through hard times so that they're prepared for the world ahead of them. How often have you heard someone say, or have you said yourself, "Welcome to the real world"? Because you want them to go through those struggles so they know how to handle those bigger issues when they come up. You want them to literally stumble and fall off of their bike because that teaches them the perseverance that they're going to need when they stumble and fall in their first interview. When they stumble and fall and don't make that team that they were so hoping to make. You want them to learn that there is action they need to take to be able to get there. And so you encourage them to do the things that will hurt, to do the things that are going to cause pain because you know it is exactly that pain that's going to take them where they want to go. But we lose that for ourselves. We lose that ability to see that we need to sit in this pain, that we need to feel it all the way through, to experience the hurt that's happening so that we can build that perseverance to get through to the next level. It's like when you see these plants growing on the side of the road, right? Maybe they're coming up through the sidewalk cracks. You can see these little plants, short ones, maybe flowers, right? And they're beautiful and you can see that they've grown up, but they come out of the ground so easily. All you have to do is pick them with two fingers, maybe even less than that. Maybe just brush them with your hand or with your foot, and they fall immediately over. That's because they don't have roots. They don't have a root system that is going to hold them there, to anchor them. Whereas if you walked into the woods and you saw a tree growing, it takes more than a season to get that way. It takes more than a few weeks or a few months for it to blossom into this apple tree that you see out there, or oak tree, whatever. But once it's there is no amount of power that could come from your own two hands that could take that down because it has put in those deposits. It has drawn down those roots so that it can stand strong through any storm. Now, again, when we think of our kids, we intentionally put them in those situations. And when we see them trying to hold back, when we see them numbing from the different pain that they might have, we know instantly that we have to give them different direction, right? You see your kid, you know that he wants to be the starting pitcher on that baseball team. And you know that he is spending all of his time during the summer watching Netflix, eating chocolate granola bars, and maybe going out and throwing the ball a couple times with his brother. Is that going to get him where he wants to go? No. No, it most certainly isn't. It's probably going to make him actually regress from where he is. So what do? You tell him about how important it is to build up his muscle by eating healthy fruits and vegetables, by getting protein so that he can build up the stamina that he needs to be part of that game. To instead of watching Netflix, watch some YouTube videos on the techniques that you need to throw different types of pitches. And then get him outside so that he is throwing hard and strong and putting everything that he's learned and all of the muscle that he has amassed into practice. And even then, when you send him to those tryouts, will he become the starting pitcher? We can't say for sure, right? We don't know. But what we do know is that his chances are far better than if he sat on that couch watching Netflix eating chocolate granola bars. Now, before you go forwarding this video to your kid and telling them that I am saying everything that you have been saying to them, remember that this video is for you. This video is for you to recognize that you fell out of that habit at some point with yourself, that you're no longer pushing yourself to actually achieve those big goals, those big results that you dreamed of in your career because you have started numbing yourself. Now, maybe it isn't with Netflix. Maybe it isn't with chocolate granola bars. Maybe how you're numbing yourself is by going through on Instagram and finding those funny reels that say so much about that employee of yours who is incredibly frustrating, and then just forwarding them on to your work bestie and being like, see, here's Jim right here. Or maybe you're numbing by complaining about your boss constantly. Maybe you have all sorts of words to say about these people that you're working with that just aren't cutting the mustard in your eyes. So you complain with your bestie during a meeting where you should be paying attention. And then you go home and you complain to your spouse over dinner that night. And then you lay in bed and think about all the things you wish you would have said out loud. You couldn't say, but you wanted to say, right? You're spending all this time spinning and you are going down this spiral. You are going down the spiral that is taking you to that regression, just like sitting on the couch did for your son. Now, instead, if what you did was think objectively about what happened, let's stay on with this employee who is so frustrating for you, right? So, if instead of just venting about it, sending funny reels about it, thinking about it as you were going to sleep at night and keeping yourself up with your frustrations and your anger about this person, what if you objectively thought about what actually happened? They did put in the time. You saw them come in early, stay late. You saw every time you went to their desk that they had the presentation you were asking for up on their computer. But for whatever reason, the delivery was terrible. The end result wasn't what you needed at all. Well, you know that they're a hard worker. You know they have the work ethic. You saw the evidence to prove it. Maybe they didn't have the skill. Maybe they didn't understand what was being asked of them. But now you have clarity around what you need to do to move forward. They aren't lazy. They aren't all those nasty things you've been thinking about them. Now you know how to take that next step. And if you don't, actually, even better, because now you get to get curious. Now, here's the point where I'm going to say, I have a free guide that helps you figure out how to get curious. And so, if you are looking for ways to get into those conversations with your employees and you have those things rolling around in the back of your head that you want to say, like, are you joking me with this presentation? Is this really the best you can do? You know, you can't say those things. But with this guide, I help you find the words that help you take that interaction into something that can flourish and help you spiral up, because there's going to be work to be done. There is pain, there is hurt in this situation. Either you need to help them redo that presentation, we're going to miss a deadline because what they did was wrong, right? There's going to be hardship there. There's going to be hurt that you have to work through. But every opportunity where you get curious and then clear and can build on those objective findings you have, you go one rung up this spiral so that next time you are not starting from the baseline you were at. You are not starting from that couch where you're eating your granola bar. You are starting from being out on that lawn, throwing that pitch, knowing the basics, knowing where to go to get to that starting spot that you wanted, to get to that promotion that you have been dreaming about, because you don't want to stay at middle manager forever, right? You want to move on to director and even beyond. And that is how you get there, is by finding a way to help your team start with what they have and progress on. Now, I can absolutely help you with this. And that is something that I want you to take the first step by just getting this free resource. Help yourself get into the game and take action by just converting those things you want to say into things that are actually useful to say, to build that curiosity and that clarity. And then from there, if you want to talk more about how accountability can help you be the leader you want to be, then I think you need to set up some time so that we can even talk about what's possible for you in that. The links for all of this are below in the show notes. And I would encourage you to share this video with anyone who needs that kick in the pants, who needs that cold water thrown on their face to get moving and make these changes for themselves. And if you have any questions or topics that you want to hear about and get more clarity on for yourself, leave those in the comments as well. I read every single one. All right. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk